Here's something strange about how your brain works. Right now, this morning, before you even opened your eyes, your mind was already doing something. It was scanning, checking, pulling up a file from yesterday. The thing you said you shouldn't have said. The thing you didn't finish. The way you failed again at the exact thing you promised yourself you'd get right this time. And here's the strange part. You didn't choose to think about that. It just loaded, automatically, like your mind keeps a running tab, and every morning it hands you yesterday's bill before you've even had breakfast. So here's the question I want to sit with for the next 20 minutes. What if that's not actually how mercy works? What if the tab doesn't carry over?
There's a 2-verse passage buried in one of the strangest, saddest books of the Bible that makes a claim so bold it almost sounds like it's breaking the rules of how debt is supposed to work. And once you understand where it was written and who wrote it, the claim gets even harder to explain away. Let's go find out what it actually says and why it might be the most quietly radical sentence in the entire Bible. The book is Lamentations, and if you've never read it, here's the one-sentence summary. It is the single saddest book in Scripture. It was written, most scholars believe, by the prophet Jeremiah in the smoking rubble of Jerusalem. The city has just been destroyed, the temple gone, families torn apart, starving, exiled. Jeremiah isn't writing this from a place of safety, looking back at hardship with the soft focus of memory. He is standing in the wreckage, right now. Present tense. So try this thought experiment for a second. If you wanted to write the most hope-filled sentence in human history, when would you choose to write it? Probably not in the middle of the worst thing that's ever happened to you. But that's exactly what happens in Lamentations chapter 3. Jeremiah spends the first 20 verses of the chapter in complete despair. Listen to how he actually talks. This isn't polished church poster language. He has walled me in so I cannot escape. He has made my chains heavy. He has broken my teeth with gravel. This is a man who feels crushed. Verse 20 says his soul is downcast within him. And then, right there, in the middle of that same chapter, without warning, something flips.
Verse 21, Jeremiah writes, "Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope." Yet, that word is doing enormous work. Everything before it is devastation.
And here's what he calls to mind, verses 22 and 23, in the old King James wording that stayed almost unchanged for 400 years. "It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness." Read that again slowly, because there's a claim hiding inside it that's easy to skim past. He doesn't say God's mercy is great. He says something much stranger. He says God's mercies are new every morning, not recycled, not carried forward, not a balance you're slowly working off. New.
So let's actually sit with that word, because I don't think we give it enough credit. Think about how almost everything else in your life works. Money works on accumulation. What you have today includes what you saved yesterday. Reputation works that way too. Relationships often work that way. If I hurt you yesterday, that hurt doesn't vanish overnight. It lingers, it compounds, it colors tomorrow. Your own conscience works that way. That's literally what happened at the very beginning of this. The mental tab that loaded before you even got out of bed. Almost everything in human experience is cumulative. It stacks. But Jeremiah, sitting in literal ashes, makes the claim that God's mercy doesn't stack. It doesn't accumulate. It doesn't carry a balance from yesterday into today. It resets every single morning, on schedule, without you asking for it, without you earning it. It's new. Here's a small detail most people miss. The original Hebrew word behind new here Chadash is the same word used to describe something being made fresh, like the new moon each month, not repaired, not topped up, made again. Which raises an obvious question. If mercy resets completely every morning, does that mean yesterday didn't matter? Does that mean the mistake, the failure, the thing you're still replaying just doesn't count? No. And this is the part I think gets misunderstood the most. The verse isn't saying your failure wasn't real. It's saying the failure is not what determines tomorrow's supply. Verse 22 gives the reason first. We are not consumed. Consumed. Used up. Ended. Finished. Jeremiah is looking at a wrecked city and saying, by every normal rule, this should have been the end of the story. And yet here we are, still standing, still breathing. Not because the situation improved, because mercy did not run out. That's not the absence of consequences. That's the presence of a mercy strong enough to outlast them. Now, if you're the skeptical type, and honestly you should be, here's the objection that probably surfaced a minute ago. Isn't this just wishful thinking? A grieving man telling himself a comforting story to survive the pain? It's a fair question. Comfort and truth aren't automatically the same thing. But notice something about where this claim sits in the passage. It's not verse 1. It's not written by someone untouched by loss, theorizing from a safe distance. It comes after 20 verses of some of the rawest grief language in the Bible. Jeremiah doesn't get to new mercies by skipping the pain. He gets there by walking straight through the middle of it and still finding something on the other side. That's a very different kind of claim than everything is fine. It's closer to everything is not fine and mercy is new anyway. And here's the phrase that anchors the whole thing so it doesn't float away into mere sentiment. The last 4 words. Great is thy faithfulness. Not great is your mood. Not great is how you feel about it today. Faithfulness. A track record. A pattern that has held before and is claimed to hold again. The newness of the mercy isn't random. It's not a lucky break. It's described as the reliable output of a character that doesn't change, morning after morning, whether the news is good or the city is in ruins. So bring this back to that mental tap from the very beginning, the one that loaded automatically the second you woke up. Here's the question underneath the question. What if that tab is not the same ledger God is reading from? You're allowed to hold both things at once. The failure was real, and it is not the balance carried into today. Lamentations doesn't ask you to pretend yesterday didn't happen. It asks you to notice that yesterday doesn't get to set the terms for this morning's mercy. The mercy isn't running low because you spent it recklessly. It was never that kind of resource to begin with. It's new, on schedule, regardless. This is where I want you to actually do something, not just listen. Take a moment, right now, before the day picks up speed and this thought gets buried under an inbox, and name one specific mercy you need fresh today. Not a vague, help me be better, something specific. Maybe it's patience with a person you already know will test it today. Maybe it's mercy toward yourself for the thing you keep relitigating in your head from yesterday. Maybe it's just enough strength to walk back into a situation you'd rather avoid. Write it down. One sentence. Today, the mercy I need fresh is blank. That sentence is not a wish. Based on what we just walked through, it's closer to a claim on something already promised to arrive on schedule, new, this morning, whether you feel ready for it or not. So, let's go back to where we started. Your mind loads yesterday's file automatically. That's just how memory works. It's not going to stop doing that tomorrow either. But Jeremiah, writing from the wreckage of everything he had, found something underneath the memory that didn't operate on the same rules. Not a mercy that accumulates guilt, a mercy that resets. Not because the mistake was small, because the mercy was never the kind of thing that runs out. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. New every morning, including this one. Whatever tab loaded in your mind before you opened your eyes today, you don't have to spend the whole day paying it down. You get to receive what's actually being offered instead. Go write that one sentence down, and then go meet the morning like it's actually new. Because if this passage is true, it is. I'll see you tomorrow.